So as we sat in this room with the registrar in the town hall of Echterdingen in Germany, our world slowly started collapsing because she had just told us that the document we needed was to be signed by the highest court order of Germany. They needed to prove that my wife is able to get married here in Germany. Now, this was in April 2022, and we were going to get married in June. And she tells us, well, this whole process will take 3 to 6 months. We're like, oh, there is a small problem. We need to get married on the 3rd of June, and we had planned this all out, and we had told her earlier there's been a miscommunication. What the heck do we do? Now we got home, we started praying, and we called the family back in the UK, and we're like, we need to keep this 3rd of June as the state wedding because there was no way we could move this anymore, because the 4th of June was the big party. We'd invited people from the US, from the UK, from Canada. We even invited my family from South Africa. We needed this day to work, the 4th of June. And you have to be married by state before you can get married in the church. Yeah, and this was devastating. It's June the 1st. The wedding guests have already arrived. This is the week of the wedding. This is a Monday afternoon. We've just invited some of the people to our home, and we're like, well, we don't know what's going to happen. We prayed about it. God will give the right solution at the right time. We don't know. We tried every other option in the book. There was nothing that could help us. And so it's Monday. We're waiting on the wedding guests. They're all rolling in. Some of them know that, we haven't been married by the state yet. We get this call from, her name's Rita, and she was in Echterdingen. She was our registrar. She's like, can you come in right now? And I jump in the car with Bron, my wife, and we drive that half an hour to Echterdingen, and we get in the room with her, and she's just like, well, I just need to do a few things. I wait outside. Don't know what happens. Bron comes back. Still nothing. It's Monday, and on Friday we had planned the state wedding, and our worlds still start like crumbling. We're like, well, God will provide, right? We had this fear and uncertainty of what was going to happen. This is the same feeling that we have when we are fearful of our salvation. This uncertainty, this total unknown, that is exactly what it is when we don't know what will happen in the future. Will we be in the kingdom? Is it by grace we are saved, or do we have to put in more works? What are the odds here? Have we done enough to be in the kingdom? And all of these questions, those are all things we want to talk about today. And if you stick around to the end, I will actually tell you what happened in our personal story and how that changed me. The question of, are we in or out? Salvation really means that we will be saved, that we will be like the angels. And there's a verse in Matthew 7:21, where it says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of God, but only the one who does the will of the Father who is in heaven. So we know not everyone will enter the kingdom. And another verse that really helps here is that Jesus says, hey, I'm the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live and not die. So we know that there's something that we can do, there's something that we need to do. But salvation is really being saved and being safe and being found acceptable in the eyes of Jesus, the righteous judge. When we get baptized, Mark 16:16, it says, whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. And we know that we need to follow in this way of life to the kingdom. It's a narrow path and a small gate that leads to life. But we know the reward of this is eternity. No sorrow, no pain. As Revelation 21 says, there will be no more tears. Every tear will be wiped away. Imagine that world. Like, don't you want to be a part of that? If we are found righteous on that day, Jesus will say to us, well done, good and faithful servant. Come and share your master's happiness. Those are the words we all want to hear, that righteous judgment by Jesus. And we know that this is all possible by faith. And scientists want to have a rational explanation for God and all these things. And really, what we need to know is what Hebrews 11:1 says, that faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So we need all these aspects. We need faith, and we need two more things, right? We need grace and we need to do works. But now the question is, what's the balance? Can we just say, hey, God gives us grace. We are in the kingdom with grace, as it says in Ephesians 2:8, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God. But it also says we need to do good works, as it says in James 2:26, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. You have to imagine that this area right here is all the work that we do, and we have to do it with the right attitude. We have to say, hey God, I want to go to church today. I want to serve my brother. I want to give this friend a drink. I want to give this stranger a meal. And all of these things are works that we do in love, and because we love Jesus and because Jesus would do them, right? And these are all stacking up. But the point is, you cannot reach the kingdom by stacking up works. There is always this top gap over here. And this gap is grace. And I believe that that gap of grace is different for every person, but it's always a gap. And so when God says you are saved by grace, that is the true meaning of salvation. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't do any works. It means you have to do both. And there's a wonderful picture here. Imagine a butterfly, right? Two wings, left and right. Both the wings are needed for the butterfly to fly. And imagine one wing being the symbol of grace, representing grace, and the other wing representing the works. Now, if you only have one wing, if you only say, hey, grace is important, that butterfly cannot fly. If you only say, hey, I only need works, the butterfly cannot fly. It can only fly to the kingdom in a metaphorical sense if you have grace and if you have works. You need to believe you're saved by grace, and you need to do the works that you can in this life to prepare you for the kingdom. And so this wonderful analogy shows us that God really is working in us to make us perfect. He wants a right balance of the both. In Romans 12 it says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. The word here is metamorphosis, right? This is the transformation from the caterpillar to the butterfly. So we already have this picture, this image in the Bible for us. And I think the grace and works kind of parable for the wings works perfectly. So you've waited long enough. You want to know what happened to that story where I was fearful, where my wife was fearful, and we didn't know the outcome. Well, God worked miracles. And on the Tuesday, 3 days before the wedding, Rita calls us and she's like, I got it. I called the judge. I invited him personally. He came. He signed it off. I made it urgent. I pulled some strings. You've got the document. And a stone fell from our hearts. We were so relieved. Finally, we could have that state wedding on the Friday and then get married on the Saturday before God. And people would never even know if they didn't ask about the story, which is great. And everyone was happy. We were relieved. And it was just God in action. He wants you to work and then trust that He will bring and do the right things and make impossible possible. In the same way there's salvation, you might feel hopeless without any hope. And God's like, hey, no, I want you. I want you to be saved. And so watch this video if you feel like you deflated, got no energy for God, and you just feel meh. And otherwise, I wish you a wonderful day. Please, if this has moved you, if you want to see more of these heart-to-heart chats and have an authentic connection with me, reach out to me. My email's always on my channel, and otherwise subscribe. That would mean the world to me. And hey, you guys are great. So thank you so much. God bless. See you next week, and I pray for you every day.